And we're back. Welcome back to more Star Wars The Force Unleashed. I'm your host, Mazubuki.
And I'm Benji Fox.
And the last time, Darth Vader jump scare. And that's it. Now we're on our way to the Jedi Temple.
The last time we had Starkiller throw an old guy out of an airlock, and yeah.
And then Darth Vader jump scare. Darth Vader has instructed you to journey to the ruins of the temple on Coruscant to continue your training. The Jedi Temple holds many secrets. There is much to fear within its walls. So, this mission wasn't a thing in the 360 version. In the 360 version, this mission was a DLC.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, we have a special guest this episode.
You know who is it?
Fallen.
Oh, hey, Fallen.
Hello.
We're playing
You're
the
just
Force
You're
Unleashed.
just in time for Starkiller to get to Coruscant.
This area is strictly off limits by order of the Emperor. Return to your ship immediately.
I was telling Miles about
Jedi bitch.
after several years, I'm surprised that the Empire has at least cleaned up this place.
You scum.
Like, ever since Anakin attacked the
Are you talking
Yeah.
about the dead? Are you talking about the dead clone bodies, the dead Jedi bodies, or the dead youngling bodies?
Oh, I mean, just get a
Everything.
broom, sweep up some of these rocks, Like, it just seems like, hey, you think Darth Sidious would want at least the old Jedi Temple to look kind of nice, at least it's just like what if he just decided that he wants to open tourism around it,
That's cute. You think the Jedi Temple on Coruscant is old?
I mean,
I'm telling, it's not.
What do you mean?
Okay, so within Star Wars lore, the Jedi Temple on Coruscant is still considered new.
Really?
really?
To put things into perspective, the Jedi Temple on Coruscant is a little over 5,000 years old, and that's still considered new.
Oh, I mean, compared to the rest of the city around it, though. Like,
The Jedi Temple is on the uppermost layer of Coruscant. This thing is still new.
Even though it looks
Oh,
like
you're-
this?
Yes. Think about it. If you can see the sky, not only is this considered premium real estate, this is considered new.
oh, I always assumed Coruscant was like, it's not so much that they just built the planet bigger with like layers. They just, hey, so we're gonna just start building underground.
Nope, they can't.
They can't?
Too much of this planet's infrastructure is too vital for them to continue to build down. They can repurpose down, they cannot build down.
Well, that's what I meant. I assumed when they say like, oh yeah, there's lower parts of Coruscant, that have like, like the black market stuff. I assumed there was like, oh, this is all old, like this was from digging down into the planet.
Okay, let me explain. Okay, let me explain this. Okay, do you remember the Boba Fett game that was supposed to come out that got canceled?
Yeah.
Called Star Wars 1313?
Yeah.
That is still some of the upper echelons of Coruscant. You want to go deeper, you're going down into like the 5,000s, and going deeper than that, you might actually see dirt native to Coruscant.
Oh, really?
Yes. Coruscant is a city planet. the only lasting city planet. They've tried to do it on Terrace. Terrace got glassed. They tried to do it on Drummond Koss. Drummond Koss said, "Fuck you and your couch."
Huh.
They tried to do it on Nal Hutta. The Hutts are lazy bastards.
Huh.
Palpatine wanted to do it on Kashyyyk. that was cute.
Oh, the irony.
Yeah, city planets on Star Wars are exceedingly rare. The only other one was technically Mandalore, and the only reason it's considered a city planet is because the Mandalorians said it was.
Oh,
So hold on. When you say that, so do you mean like when you're just like on Coruscant? If you're just like, you tell me you're always walking on top of the roof of some other structure?
Yes. For the most part. Coruscant, it's buildings on top of buildings on top of sections on top of sections. This planet is building upon things that are at least 100,000 years old.
Down on the ground, now.
Huh. So it's like how there's still parts. So it's like how there's parts of the New York sewer system. There's parts of the New York sewer system that are so old that they're still made of wood.
Yes.
Huh.
Same how there are still parts of the old subway system still around.
That is actually kind of interesting. I never, because like I said, I always assumed that I assumed it was just when they say like the underground levels of Coruscant, they literally just mean like underground. Like, here's the surface, and because everywhere on the surface has been, had a building built on it, they had to just build buildings. They had to build, buildings deeper, and that just led to like, oh, these two underground buildings are across from each other. What if we build a street between them? And then you just eventually get these massive, just like super malls of like building basements connected to each other.
The first 500 sections of Coruscant are like that.
Huh. That's actually kind of interesting.
Yeah. Also, if you want to know something really fucked, so there are people who live on Coruscant that have never seen the sky or the sun.
Huh. Makes sense. Like, how big is Coruscant supposed to be compared to like Earth?
About 2 or 3 times bigger. It's weird.
So it has like 1 million times the population or something?
Yeah. There are and that's not even.
Is there an ocean on Coruscant?
No.
So how does it even? So you're saying of all the ridiculous stuff in Star Wars, Coruscant is the most unrealistic thing?
Yes, because because it's a city planet. City planet, a city planet on the scale of what Star Wars is asking you to think of should technically not be possible.
To survive. Control your fear. Let go of your anger.
who's this?
His dad.
I was trying to act coy.
1,000 Jedi died cursing Darth Decimus. Now you too will scream my name. I am the master of the dark.
So, this is new. A Sith with a sword, a lightsaber, and a shield.
I mean, realistically speaking, I feel like there should be a Jedi combat style that includes a shield.
Yeah, but you never see it. I think
Looking at his clothes, the style of the lightsaber, that shield, that's a fucking hyperspace war era Sith.
hyperspace war era.
Okay, without actually delving too deep into Star Wars war, because if you want me to explain the hyperspace war, I have to go on the wiki for this.
Hold on, is this the furthest I know about hyperspace is that there was this when they were moving planets around?
No.
Okay, so it's not that far back.
Like, no. This is further back. Like, this is back. It's after the Rakatans were in power, but before Star Wars: The Old Republic. That is how far back this goes.
Jesus.
Just going off of what I said, I didn't know for a long time that the reason there's so many like gravity wells in Star Wars is because they were moving planets around.
Oh yeah. Oh, the Rakatans did that.
Yeah. Also, why are there humanoids on like most worlds? It's because they were enslaved and they were moved around to like tons of different planets.
Yes. Also, there is evidence to believe that more than likely, Coruscant is Earth that was moved out of its orbit.
Oh.
And the planet destabilized because Earth was moved. Because Earth is a weird fucking planet. Like, okay, so like, Earth's axis is wrong. Earth is in an area of this solar system where it can habitate life in a special position where it can habitate life properly. Everything about Earth is weird. Like, Earth is a 1 in a quintillion shot, and life is barely sustaining itself. That is how rare of a find Earth is.
Earth is that instance where if you're in a D&D game, your friend there just rolled 3 natural 20s in a row, and everyone's table is just like shocked, like they just saw the face of God. That's how rare Earth is, basically, is what you're saying.
Even rarer because the planet started itself in a golden area, got hit with a giant meteor and turned on its axis, started bringing life back when it was a water planet. Then there was grass.
Some of the remainder of that planet and the meteor formed the moon.
Yep. Oh, also there is also a chance that Earth might have had 2 moons at one point, but they smashed together to make one bigger moon.
I can see that. Even if you had like, you know, the remainder, because you have like I used to know what it was called. What they theorized the Earth used to be like before.
Pangea.
No, Pangea is before the continents started splitting apart.
Oh yeah.
This was the protoplanet that had the massive
And he's dead.
the massive almost planet-sized or subplanet-sized meteor crash into it. Then
Yeah.
the heat, the collision heat of those two worlds. What was it? I think it was because there's no it's difficult to find evidence of like Earth having as much water as it does, going back a certain point.
Which is funny because Earth was a water planet for a couple 100 million years before we actually got ground.
Right, but like it's not in the same context of like what we understand it to be now. Because the Earth has changed so much, so it's like a good percentage of Earth's water had to have come from like frozen,
Yay, a new costume.
frozen comets and stuff colliding with the planet.
Yep.
and having a subplanet-sized asteroid hit the Earth uh, is actually and which due
We
to
had
gravity,
we had a meteor that was roughly a quarter the size of Pluto hit the planet,
right,
which is when the initial planetoid went from a molten slag of a planet to just volcanic gases starting rain.
right, and then the gravity basically crushed all that material into what was proto Earth before,
Yep.
after, and then obviously that was stabilizing for that had to stabilize for like a couple million years, couple hundred
Yep.
million years, and
And it was during
the
one of the planet.
remaining cosmic dust around the world, around the planet, formed into the moon or potentially two moons, depending on what the evidence shows. And those two moons, if they did exist,
Proxy, are you picking up any communication?
because Earth is fairly small, had a good likelihood that they accidentally crashed into each other and
Set us down as close to that thing.
create another
I will do my best.
create the
There are not
current
many
moon,
bearings. You'll need to approach
basically.
the temple on foot.
Yes, and during this tumultuous time,
Be careful.
so there is evidence to believe that the planet has had no less than upwards of 20 ice ages. Like the planet has turned into a ball of ice several times.
I mean, that makes sense actually. We had the because there's the quote quote ice age that people always talk about that lasted for
Yes.
well, how long did they say that lasts for? Like a couple
The
thousand
last-
years, a couple
the
hundred
last-
thousand years. I don't remember.
The last great ice age lasted roughly 10,000 years, I believe.
Yeah, 10,000 years, and that's the post dinosaurs ice age, right?
Yes, that is the one where the Ice Age movies are based on.
Yeah. But then you have when was it? The little ice age. That was like the you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
The actual recorded little ice age that happened within the last, I think, 200 years. No, I mean 200. They're 2,000 years.
Oh yeah, that people the Greeks chalked that up to just an extraordinarily long winter. But no, the planet was trying to freeze all life on Earth again.
Right, exactly. And that's the alarming part.
The planet doesn't want us here.
Right.
Every single sentient species on Earth are basically cockroaches. We kind of just keep coming back.
Miles, do you have anything interesting to add?
Not really. I lost track. Because this all stemmed from me asking who the hell Darth Delosis was.
Yeah, I just said he's most likely from one of the hyperspace wars.
Yes, Darth Don DeLuise.
Yeah. Oh, and as for what the hyperspace wars are, you know how they talk about hyperspace lanes and how people traverse the galaxy?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a war fighting over those lanes, a long fucking time ago.
I mean, that makes sense. Transport has always been like that. You had train companies that were at war with each other. You had taxi companies that were at war with each other. You had
planets got destroyed in this war to make way for new hyperspace lanes.
Jesus.
Makes sense.
I just find it interesting that because I think Darth Delosis is so far the only character I've seen that has a shield with him.
Yeah. And like I said, it's actually kind of interesting. You don't see that with more Jedi. Like, it'd probably have to be made from, like, Beskar metal, but like just a small like shield,
Yeah,
and
especially
like
since they're called
one-handed saber strikes.
yeah, especially since they're called Jedi Knights.
That's like if you're up against someone else with a lightsaber, and you can block it with like you can block their strike with your shield, that leaves them completely open.
Yeah, basically.
So it's actually not a bad question of like how come you don't see this more often? Heck, you have those droids that work for Grievous, and they have those like batons that are like electrified that can block lightsaber strikes.
Yeah.
So it's like all you need is a shield that can do that.
It's because those things are made of Beskar.
Oh, okay. Again, like you raised a lot of questions, just like how come people don't do this in Star Wars, and then you'll find the answer is like, oh well, because this wasn't written by George Lucas, and if he said he never came, he wouldn't have come up with something like this.
Yeah. He came up with a lot of the building blocks of like Star Wars, but like a lot of the cooler shit was done by other people under his purview. He had to okay most of it.
You don't see that more often, just like because Starkiller just he basically took an RPG, turned it around in the air, threw it back at the guy. You don't see that like at all usually.
Yep, and for the longest time, Starkiller was like people like to say he was dubiously canon. He wasn't. He was canon, just until he wasn't because of the Disney acquisition.
Yeah, I mentioned that in part 1.
Yeah, I was telling Miles that back in part 1, it doesn't really make sense that Darth Vader would be Darth Sidious's apprentice for 18 years and not have at least have had one attempted apprentice.
Yeah,
and I was telling him how if you could actually make it even more interesting if you have Ahsoka be canon, and you have Starkiller's story end with him fighting Ahsoka, and like I was saying, Ahsoka could get could just barely defeat him, but is taken out of the story, taken out of the story leading into A New Hope, right? So that explains why she's not there during the original trilogy. So because she has a lot of merit, she has a lot of story potential for her helping Luke rebuild the Jedi Order, right? But like if you had for example, if you had Darth Vader's long-term apprentice get killed by Anakin's old Padawan, it's very demoralizing to Vader. And even if you can go one step further and have it be that Darth Sidious orchestrated their confrontation behind the scenes. So you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
So
there is there is a problem with Starkiller as a whole, and this also led to a bigger problem with the Inquisitors. Although it's less of a problem with Starkiller because the games themselves equalize everything, but with the Inquisitors, it doesn't. It just digs them into a bigger hole.
Well, yeah, because doesn't Vader have to kill all the Inquisitors at some point?
It's not just that. The Inquisitors break the rule of two. They break the rule of two in such a stupid way because, Lucasfilms and Disney tried to get around this by saying, "Oh, well, they're not Jedi or Sith. Fuck off." That's not how that works.
Basically, this all could have been solved if they just kept Starkiller as canon. Literally show,
Yes.
Him literally being canon would explain to us, or at least it will help us explain why Vader never has an apprentice after Starkiller, because he either died or betrayed him, or either combination of the two, and it would explain how the rebels were formed.
Yes, but and they could have gotten around the Inquisitors issue since basically the Jedi are gone, but you still have all of these Sith, because Maul's still around, up until a point, Savage was still around too, and Ventress, even though Ventress kind of redeems herself and becomes...
Hey, look, it's Greedo. Because every alien that's every one of this alien is Greedo, according to the fans.
Well, if that's the case, he fucking dies here.
What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Where there are a bunch of other Force users around that were trained in the Sith ways, but do not call themselves Sith because they stick to this bullshit rule of two.
Some welcome.
I mean, here's the thing. They don't need to be Sith, because they already tap into the dark side.
If you the Force is a very binary thing. Yes, there are rules to get around it, like the Night Sisters and the Bendu, the father, the daughter, and the brother, and a couple of other things. But when it comes to tapping in to the dark and the light specifically, you are either Jedi or Sith.
Right. So that's why the Inquisitors don't work.
Yeah.
Because the only way they can work is if they have no Force powers. If they were just highly trained in lightsaber,
Yep.
like lightsaber skills.
They get around.
Then you could argue, okay, they're not Sith. They're just highly trained, like lightsaber wielders. And you could argue, okay, you get 6 or 7 of them in a room with Jedi. There's a good chance they might be able to take him down, because it's numbers at that point. Because
they get around this in the Star Wars comics. They got around this in the Star Wars comics because there were an elite group of stormtroopers that Vader let run around with lightsabers.
Wait, what?
Yes, there was an elite group of stormtroopers that Vader let putz around with lightsabers, and they were dangerous fuckers.
Makes sense.
What? Wait. Isn't it difficult to technically wield a lightsaber as a non-force sensitive?
They were trained for it.
Never mind.
So if you have the Force, and that in extension of that, Force senses, a lightsaber as a deadly weapon becomes fairly easy to use, because you have a greater perception of how to wield it. If you at least have training with it, like Grievous was not Force sensitive, but he was highly trained. But at the same time, like I said, Grievous is the perfect example of numbers, beating actual force sensitivity, because he had 2 lightsabers. Okay, then he has 4 lightsabers. Okay, he has no force sensitivity, but he can instantly beat most Jedi because it's overwhelming force. It's overwhelming firepower, or it's I keep saying it's numbers versus skill.
Yep.
And when you're trying to block 4 lightsabers at the same time, and you only have 1 lightsaber to defend yourself with, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Like, Obi-Wan only beat him by chance.
That, and he was severely crippled by Mace Windu. Was that made canon, by the way?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Good.
Um.
I always hated the fact that I always hated the fact that they changed that for a long time. To be like, oh no, Mace Windu didn't basically crush his lungs. He's always been like that because cybernetics kind of are garbage. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, but it's cooler if Mace Windu gets this one good strike on him before, like, when he's trying to kidnap the Chancellor.
By the way,
Oh,
sorry.
This is also probably the most funniest continuity keep in all of Star Wars. So, you know how like there's this throwaway line in the not the Empire Strikes Back, in Revenge of the Sith, where Dooku goes, I expected, oh, not Dooku, where Anakin goes to Grievous, I expected you to be taller. And
Yeah.
then in the Clone Wars, they bend over backwards to never let Anakin see Grievous.
Wait, really?
I love
Yes.
how the clone.
The show
I love how
bends over
ridiculous
backwards
Clone
to
Wars is.
never have Anakin and Grievous in the same room. He knows what Grievous sounds like. They both know what each other sound like. And Grievous has seen Anakin. Anakin never got a chance to see Grievous in the show.
Why?
Ahsoka has seen because of that one throwaway line.
Wait, Grievous was shorter in the show?
No.
No. That's what he's saying. He's
In
saying
the movie, Anakin saw Grievous for the first time in Revenge of the Sith, even though he's been fighting him for 2+ years in the Clone Wars. He has never actually seen him. He's only ever seen him in hollows, and hollows make him look bigger.
Oh, okay, I see it.
And so when Anakin first meets him in Revenge of the Sith, he goes, I expected you to be taller.
Oh, I get it.
And so the show bent over backwards to keep this one throwaway line canon.
Man, you never see a show do that anymore.
Yes. Oh, and there is one thing we can all agree that both the prequels and the sequels are bad movies, but they are bad movies for completely different reasons.
Yes.
The prequels are bad because they are poorly made and the dialogue is very rough at times.
Yes, I would argue that the third film is the best written of them.
Yes.
For sure.
Minus the whole... I hate sand.
That's the second one.
That's in...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's in Attack of the Clones. The sequels have the issue of...
By the way, hold on. Can I just say real quick, right? You know that line people always complain about where it's like, she died from a broken heart? What did you expect? It's Star Wars. It's space opera. Are you stupid?
Wait. What?
Padme died of a quote-unquote broken heart. The in-universe explanation is that she just gave up on wanting to live. It's most likely complications due to the pregnancy, the high-stress situation that killed her. But to say that she died of a broken heart is a poetic way of saying Anakin died too.
Right, and it's like, people complain about the line because it sounds bad, but it's like, it's space opera. That's what Star Wars is.
Yeah, it's literally that.
Like, if you don't understand that, of course it's going to sound stupid because you don't get it.
And say what you will about the sequels, you can like them or you hate them. I personally like the sequels. On their own, in their own bubbles, all 3 of the sequel movies are good Star Wars movies. Altogether, as a trilogy, they are bad because they do not connect with one another. And the reason The Rise of Skywalker is so infuriating is not because of Rey Skywalker, is not because of Sidious coming back. It is because The Rise of Skywalker literally tries to undo what The Last Jedi did, and it wastes too much of its time doing that instead of telling its own goddamn story.
See, I would
That
say
is
that I would
That
say
is the main problem. That is the main problem with the sequels. They do not connect, and then the last one spends 2/3 of its runtime undoing the previous movie.
Finn should have been a Jedi. I'm just saying that out there.
yeah.
Yes, I completely agree. I don't believe he should have been the main character. I think Rey is fine as the main character, but I do believe Finn should have gotten a lightsaber.
Like Finn, see, I like the.
Oh, and also,
See-
what the fandom did to Rose Tico is completely unforgivable. That actress did not deserve all of that.
Yeah.
So I'll say this, right? I keep forgetting that the blue bar is your force power, not the red bar.
I
keep thinking like, oh, he's about to die.
No. I have played too many RPGs. Blue always means MP, red means health. I'm like, you're not getting me this time, Star Wars.
Yeah, no.
But I think that's what I liked about Kingdom Hearts, where it was green instead of red. But anyways, because it's more visually striking. So the first of the sequel trilogy was actually a pretty good movie. It had a lot of good potential. It had a lot going for it. I think the biggest problem with the
It was A New Hope.
well, yeah, but that's not a bad thing.
It's not, but like the main strike against it.
It was basically a remake of A New Hope.
Yeah.
But that's not a bad thing if they did anything creative with it, or they set up a good mystery. The problem with the Last Jedi was that it intentionally decided to, like, a lot of the story beats set up in the previous film, it decided to just answer a bunch of them or just throw them out the window.
I blame a lot of the Last Jedi's issues. I blame on Canto.
Let me finish. And that's not saying that there's not good ideas in The Last Jedi. Like Canto Bight as a concept, like
that should have been its own movie. It should have been its own movie.
It kind of works because you have this, like, you have all these wealthy people who are working on both sides of the war, because it's not the Empire anymore.
Yep, like, it's the First Order.
Right, the Empire, like, Canto Bight could not exist under the Empire, because that's not how the government worked. Canto Bight, though, works under the New Republic because they basically opened the door for private weapons, for like private weapon manufacturers and stuff like that to work on both sides of the conflict.
Why does that sound like Fallen? Why does it sound like I forgot the name of the company from Mobile Suit Gundam. Was it Anaheim Electronics?
Yeah.
It sounds very similar to Anaheim.
Yeah, like it's war profiteering.
Right.
And
if you were to say, like, oh, the First Order, they only have been able to make a solid foothold in the galaxy under the New Republic because the New Republic demilitarized itself, which is kind of, I hate the idea, but I can see the logic behind it.
Because it needed to scale back after the death of the Emperor. Like Leia and everyone else couldn't just take power because people would expect someone to declare themselves Emperor. So in this power vacuum, they're like, hey, everyone's scaling the fuck back.
And like that makes sense. I can see the logic behind it. It just doesn't sit right with me because you can literally see like, okay, so the First Order established itself from the remnants of the Empire because there was no military to stop them. Okay, that's not
And
a
also
that's not a bad explanation for how the conflict started.
you also see this in the Mandalorian of what happened to all of these Imperials when during this time of the New Republic as it was beginning to um implant itself into everything.
Right.
They basically became fucking feudal lords.
Right.
Like they pulled a fucking Nazism, to draw parallels to what the Nazis did. They fucking ran away to Brazil.
Yeah. The only difference is like, you know, the rest of the world didn't demilitarize itself after World War II.
Yes. Oh, also, crazy bit of World War II recent news. Hitler might have actually been in Brazil. Like he might have actually faked his own death and actually went to Brazil, but then died in the 60s.
Oh, so they because that's been a theory for like decades, but they actually found
Yes.
like
That
proof?
tinfoil hat theory might actually be right.
Oh wow.
But pivoting back to Star Wars, you see in the Mandalorian that like basically they became fucking feudal lords and were just away.
Right.
God fucking damn it, you Rhodians! No one can speak your space mumbo jumbo.
You guys really want to run my pockets when I know I can kill you.
No.
But yeah, so like I can understand the way that like if you're going to have this whole side story like Canto Bight, that you can't pull away from the rest of the film that long to make a statement about war profiteering.
Yes, and the main message.
Because the thing is, it was the A plot of the no what would the space chase be? The A plot, B plot, or C plot?
Honestly, the space chase is probably the main B plot of the movie.
Okay, yeah. So, because I was thinking the A plot is definitely Rey, because it actually is trying to go somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do need to talk about Rey in this movie and like what the main message of the movie was because the message of the movie saying your blood does not matter, it does not matter where you came from is a very good message to have, and they genuinely should have stuck with that. But
you know what honestly ticks me off about that? Fans didn't care about the connection, didn't care about Jedi family lineages up until Disney started making a big stink about it.
That is because Disney made
there was no because like
Disney.
No
it's because Disney made a fatal mistake. It's because Disney made a fatal mistake with the Force Unleashed. They let the loud fans scream a little too loudly about who Rey's family might have actually been. Because I remember back when The Force Unleashed came out, people were like, she's related.
Force Awakens.
Sorry, The Force Awakens. Because I remember when The Force Awakens came out, people were like, she's part of Obi-Wan's family, she's a part of Mace Windu's family, she's the long-lost daughter of Mara Jade and Luke Skywalker, and I'm like, no, she's fucking not. Disney was not going to make Mara Jade canon. Unfortunately, as much as the fans would have loved to have Mara Jade be canon, that was not going to happen.
I mean, they might do that now, but she'd probably be played by Zendaya.
And with that, Fallen fucking died.
Ugh. Okay, now, and
I'm
so
kidding. I'm kidding. By the way.
and unfortunately, Disney listened to these very vocal minority of fans arguing with each other in the fucking Denny's parking lot because of course that's where these people go about who Ray was, to the point where Ryan Johnson saw the arguments and he was genuinely sick of them because personally he didn't care who Ray was. Oh, and that's also another reason why the sequel films are bad. No one talked to each other. There was not a plan for these movies.
See,
There was no plan.
My counter argument is that, so, I feel like back in the day, I can't remember exactly because it's been so long, but I feel like I might have been like, oh, who could Ray be? Who could her family be? And I think I wanted it to be. I think I wanted.
You wanted her to be like Luke's long lost daughter, and one of the reasons.
No, I think I wanted her to be related to Obi-Wan somehow, but I couldn't figure out how that made sense.
Yeah, and then like when the Mandalorian, actually not the Mandalorian, then when Star Wars: The Clone Wars come back, we saw Satine's nephew, and it was like, that's Obi-Wan's son. And then people were like, oh my god, that's how Rey could have been. That's how Rey could have been his granddaughter. But it's like but now it's like too little, too late. And
right. What they should have said prior to back when the Last Jedi was a thing, was that when it came out that Rey was a nobody and that she wasn't related to anyone, they should have countered with, so how come people don't ask who Anakin is related to explain why he's so powerful? Like you could literally just say, because that's the thing, no one asks like who Anakin is the son of, why, to explain why he's so powerful. Because he's an anomaly in the Force.
Yeah, because Anakin was literally immaculate conception.
So you literally just say like,
yeah,
hey, why can't Rey just be another anomaly in the Force to explain why she's so powerful? Because it makes sense. I do wish that they went in the direction of Rey joining Kylo Ren in the dark side.
While it would have been interesting,
it really just doesn't. There's so little in the film that actually happens when there's no like big, like shocking. There's no like second film like surprise, basically.
I mean, honestly, I think they were banking on the shock factor of Luke being a hermit and basically giving up on everything, which by itself is a very interesting concept. He failed the one person he should not have failed, and it blew up so spectacularly in his face that Luke got so demoralized that he was like, I can never come back from this.
Well,
because
sorry.
And you see it in the Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. Luke believes his own goddamn hype so much.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, you don't see him fail in those, though. Like, here's the thing. If it was very clear that he's very arrogant in those depictions, those post Last Jedi depictions of Luke, it would, make sense. But he's never really depicted as being arrogant. See, the problem with the way the Last Jedi did it was that you had Luke, who was like what did they say? What did he? Is it eternally optimistic? Like
Yeah.
like he was like he believed he could talk Vader into turning from the dark side.
And he
And
did.
then right.
He did.
But then you right, exactly. But then you just say, "Oh, you know that guy that was like super like eternally optimistic and believed, who turned his father away from the dark side." And, yeah, no, he just decided to try to kill his nephew, in the middle of the night because he was afraid of what he might become. It's like you need more than that to justify that explanation. Like if you just had like
This
if you had Luke tell Rey like, you know, as much as I tried, I could not, I as much as I tried, uh I could not uh unsee this darkness inside Ben, right?
Ben.
And like if you said like during training he severely injured several students on accident. Like, if you literally just explain, like, no matter what Luke did, he could not, like, because, like, I don't know, maybe you could just say, like, Kylo Ren was, like, admired his grandfather too much, and, like, what Darth Vader was. Like, there are so many ways you can justify, like, why Luke would decide, no matter what I do, I cannot turn, Ben away from this dark direction that I can tell he's leaning down towards.
You want to know what would have been better?
So it just comes across as, oh hoity doy, I'm gonna just kill him in his sleep for no reason because I'm a coward. It's like, no, there's nothing, there's no substance there. You need more justification, and you can make that work if you can make, because in the movie, Luke just seems like he gave up, like he's a coward. But if you just like he made one failure and then that's it, he just gave up. But like if you literally just like depict it as like he tried as much as he could, and it led to just the complete destruction of like, and they do kind of tap into that when they show the temple on fire, but that's in the first film, not the second film.
You want to know, what would have made this work? Because there is a line that that Luke tells, that Luke says to Rey when she goes into like the dark side of the planet, and he's like, every single time, you always go they always go somewhere dark, and it's like. That was the impetus. You could have had it so like that like during training, Ben and the rest of the students did the same thing he did with Yoda, and he still went down that dark path, but it was infinitely worse because like 5 or 6 students went in, but like Ben and like 2 other students came back because they all died. And it was because they attacked one another and Ben killed them all.
Right. Like
that would have been that would have been interesting. But no, it's just they are going right back to the end of the story of Luke saying he made a mistake. That he could only see this darkness within Ben, and in that moment of weakness, he did something terrible, and this led to the death of all his students, the destruction of his temple, and Luke was so demoralized that he went into hiding, which is also why he tells Rey to not believe in stories, because Luke himself believed his own story, and that was his biggest downfall.
Like, I'm trying to remember exactly what because it's been a while but I'm trying to remember exactly, because there was the cave that Luke went to on there's the cave that he fought, the manifestation of Vader in, basically. And I'm trying to remember exactly what that what that taught him? Because I know that it was, if he keeps going down the path he is, he'll just end up like Vader. That was the significance of like the helmet exploding and his face being behind it.
Yep.
But like, I'm trying to think like, so that's if he keeps going the path he is and he defeats Vader. But like, if he failed that test, what would it? It's just interesting because it's just like there's so many smarter ways they could have told why Luke failed or why he decided to try to like.
Old man and an outcast. There are more
But it's
tests
just
you must
weird.
pass.
What tests?
Yep.
Go to the
And
Jedi
then by
Temple.
the end of the movie, Luke redeems himself. He finds himself again, and he ultimately dies because he overexerted himself. It was not a terrible way for him to go out. I will say it was a kind of lazy way for him to go out. But what are you going to do? I cannot blame anything of what happened with of what happened with Carrie Fisher on the movie because the fact that she died was just a terrible fucking thing.
Right.
That was just, it was like holy fucking shit.
Right. I will say like
the Leia stuff, I cannot blame on the movies because it's like, well, shit. That's basically what that was.
The Emperor has decreed a quarantine. Stop and prepare to be detained.
wait, why are you back here?
Vader sent me for more training.
But yeah, like, oh yeah, so that's the second film, right?
Yeah.
Like the main issues with it, and like, cause I can get by like, oh well, but the bombers, that's stupid. It's like I can kind of see them making sense, right? They were just done kind of poorly.
Yep. And also, to the people complaining that the Holdo maneuver is nonsensical, go touch grass. The Holdo maneuver actually makes sense under the circumstances that was going on. Which
Like,
it's why they were evacuating. It's also one of the reasons why it needed to be kept secret because there was a mole on that ship, and
oh yeah, talk about a plot line that went nowhere.
the Holdo maneuver.
No,
Yeah.
the mole.
Oh yeah. And it had basically gotten to a point where it's like Poe was getting paranoid and he thought that Commander Holdo was the mole, but it was a red herring.
Like, here's the thing: like, if you had like, there should have been a moment, and it's been a while since I've seen the movie, so I don't remember exactly. If you had a moment where like Leia just pulls him aside and like, we have a plan, but you need to trust us, you know, and then.
Again, this would have been in reshoots, but they couldn't do reshoots because Carrie Fisher fucking died.
No. She died after the movie came out, though.
No, she didn't. She died before.
Right. Oh, you're right. Oh,
wow. Yeah. Again, the movie had needed to go through reshoots, but couldn't because Carrie Fisher passed away. And it's like, oh, fuck.
I hope you have a plan.
Well then, oh yeah, that's right, because I remember them. Yeah. They should have. I'm not saying they should have rewrote the whole movie in that sense.
They needed to find a way to do something.
They should have redone the film so that when they should have. I think they should have. I don't want to say they should have made her getting pulled out into space. How her character goes off, is sent off. I don't want to say that, but like, They were literally just like, "Hey, keep going the direction we are, and have her be a central character in the next film." It's like, but the actress is gone. You have to. You have to.
They
You
had to
have.
use what they had,
It's like,
and
no. You postpone the movie. You say what you can, but you have to change it because you can't keep going the direction. That would be like. That would be like if it just doesn't make sense at that point. Like circumstances, like outside of your control, have made this direction you're taking the film. They're taking the third film, which is not even in production yet. It has made it impossible to go in that direction. So you have to, cause she died back when Rogue One. Yeah, that's right.
she
Rogue One
died
was
she died in 2016.
yeah. And Rogue One out yet, or was that just coming out?
It came out in 2016. It came out December 16th, a couple of weeks before she died.
Right. So when did the Last Jedi come out?
Last Jedi, it came out December 15th, 2017.
So they really should have just pushed the movie back and reshot
There
parts
is
to restructure the story.
There's a problem with
Because
that.
it was definitely still being edited by that point.
It was, but there are rules in filmmaking in Hollywood, and a lot of the stuff was already locked in that they could not change.
Oh, that bugs me a lot.
Though it it bugs a lot of people because like when edits need to be done, edits are easy. Reshoots are also tentatively harder, especially on big budget films like Star Wars. And with Star Wars, Disney also wanted to touch nothing. It's really fucking weird.
It really bugs me because like they should have, because if they
It is not too late. Do not blind yourself with anger.
Because like if they did make it
Search
so
your
Leia
feelings
dies
for the truth.
in the second film when she gets sucked out into space, and then you had Holdo take over, and it was just, and you could justify why Poe did not trust her, but they make the characters stupid instead with the way they're presented in the film we got, and it's like. It's like you could have, if they brought Luke back for the third film, right? Not as a ghost, but like say he didn't die at the end of the movie, like they could make him like Yoda in the third they could make him they could make him basically like Yoda in back in Return of the Jedi, but like they didn't want to do that. It bugs me. Oh, but I want to say, like, the biggest issue with, like, making Rey, like, a Palpatine isn't that Rey is a Palpatine. It's that they got so far up their own butts about the details about cloning that they're just like, they didn't have to make her father a clone of Palpatine. Like we don't know it. Like there's no, as far as I'm aware, there's no mandate from Lucas saying like, oh, you can't actually go into detail about Palpatine's backstory. I won't. This is written in the contract I signed. It's like no, there's nothing like that. So literally just say, oh yeah, Chancellor Palpatine had a wife and kids we just literally never saw on screen back in the prequel trilogy, and you just say, "Hey, Ray is his actual, like, you know, his actual biological, uh, either granddaughter or great granddaughter or whatever." And so it makes sense because, like, well, of course the Emperor's family would go into hiding after the Empire fell. Like, am I wrong? Because, like, I think people get too I don't know. I think people get too caught up with the whole cloning aspect of Star Wars. Like, they get too anal about it, if that makes sense.
Also, to wrap this into the Force Unleashed, so, like, you know how, like, there are a bunch of failed clones of Starkiller?
I did not know that.
You are technically not able to... Okay, so, like, cloning Force users should theoretically be impossible.
It's because of the midichlorian count, right?
It is A, because of metachlorians, and B, because of the fact of the matter that they are a clone. Sometimes they sometimes lack the mental capacity to think outside the box.
Oh yeah.
Which is why in Ahsoka you see Sabine able to be able to learn to use the Force, because George Lucas has always stated the Force is open to anyone that is willing to learn to use it. It doesn't matter how old you are, you can learn to use the Force. It's just a matter of how well you can open yourself up to it. For some, it's as easy as just pushing open the door. Others, you need to unlock it. You need to unlock that door yourself. Sometimes people can, usually people can't. Sabine just happened to be one of the few that already had the door open. And she was able to push it farther.
She didn't know she could do it, but she had the training to at least try.
Yes, it is. It was because of her close proximity to Kanan and Ezra, because of how strong they were, specifically how strong Ezra was in the Force. It let Sabine open herself up more to the Force, because, well, Sabine was always a creative spirit. She was always thinking outside of the box. And B,
I forget, was she Mandalorian?
Yes. Sabine is a Mandalorian, and Force sensitives within Mandalorian culture are also rare, because Mandalorians have a very strict mindset.
They have a very rigid, like, culture.
Yes.
You have much to learn.
The scent of your feet.
Oh god, it's a Zabrak.
I'm going to enjoy this.
Mommy, sorry. Mommy, sorry. Mommy, sorry.
She does not look that attractive. Cut that out.
Fuck off. I actually rather think females are very attractive.
I mean, I will say there's visual cues that are attractive, but I need to see the character drawn by a good artist rendition. You know what I mean?
Like fucking Rabi's Lagamore for Fontes.
I do not know who that is. But yeah, it's sort of that joke, like, you know, oh, this character has potential, but they just need to be drawn by a better artist.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I'm not, like, it just seems dumb to go through all this like rigmarole of trying to justify, like, oh, how is Rey related to the Emperor? Oh, well, they were cloning the Emperor, and then the clone escaped, and the clone had no force sensitivity, but then the clone met this lady, and they had a kid, and the kid had force sensitivity. Like, just say at that point that the Emperor had like had an actual family that like it's just never shown in the films.
I mean, we
And that
find out that the Emperor
heck, if you
in the
literally
Rise
just
of
if you
Skywalker was a clone. It was
right,
just a
but
clone that
that's
his
stupid.
that his spirit basically took over.
That's stupid at that point. If you literally just like you don't have to drag Ray into that. You don't have to drag Ray's actual parentage into that plot point.
Yes.
You literally just said like because if you literally just said like, hey, and this is what annoys me about like Snoke, because like Snoke could have been if you just said like Snoke was a failed clone of the
He was.
Emperor.
He was.
Right.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. If you had so Snoke was like a failed clone of the Emperor, just and that was the whole point of Snoke. And it wasn't just like, oh, here's the actor playing. Here's the actor for here's Palpatine's actor coming back for another movie. It's like you don't need to have that much fan service. You can get away with it's just dumb.
Yeah. And then you had
Because if you just sorry,
and
because
because they
if you
bought
just
the
said that
idea
because you just
of
said like, oh, here's why was Ray like left on this desert planet?
Please.
Oh, because she's actually she's the actual granddaughter of like the legitimate granddaughter of the Emperor and was put here, for her
Well
own
done,
protection.
my young apprentice. You are ready
Then
to face a true Jedi now.
it they
Master
just made it
Shock
so
T,
needlessly
last of the
complicated.
Jedi Council. You'll need the full power of the dark side to defeat her.
Yes, my master.
I hate being him.
I think he does too.
I mean, given that suit,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
given the suit, yeah, hell yeah.
That was amazing. I love that's that's legitimately good. Just like
Oh, and also, that was Garen being real for a minute. Like he's not being Star Killer. That's just him being Garen Merrick.
It's not Gallon?
Excuse me, Galen Merrick. With it with his little robot friend, just like in that moment. Ugh, I hate being him. I think he does too.
All right,
Like
well,
you can hear it in his tone of voice.
yeah, no, that was so casual. Like,
I hope you have a plan.
all right, well,
Yeah.
I think this is a good way to stop today's episode. With that
Oh
said,
shit, you're going to Felucia. Oh god. The
yeah,
jungle planet.
yeah, next episode.
I'm assuming this is an extra long episode.
1 hour and 13 minutes, yeah.
Uh,
So with that said,
which is
huh?
which is funny because Vader said that you're going to go kill Shak T. Technically Shak T's already dead if you count.
We actually already went through that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about her first death being in
In a deleted scene.
in a deleted scene. Her second death being
In Order 66.
oh, she does die in Order 66.
Yes.
Does she get?
She doesn't die. She doesn't die in the Clone Wars.
Okay. And her third death being in The Force Unleashed.
Yes.
So it's like
I really want some writer just to like make some sort of comic and accidentally be like, oh no, she actually had two other twin sisters that were also Jedi.
I
and,
wouldn't be
make it
surprised if that was the reason.
and like it would be it'd be nonsensically complicated, but like I just know for a fact that like some writer would just have the balls to do that under the Disney umbrella right now.
You want to hear something really hilarious?
What?
What?
She has a fourth death in Rebels.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Okay, so this is in season 1 where
Are you still recording, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I've been trying
So,
to
like-
fucking... Alright, whatever.
I'm sorry, you can end it right after this. So there's a moment in early season 1 where Ezra is getting visions of Shakti. Kanan tells him that there were rumors that she was in prison.
I know which one you're talking about!
She wasn't. They were parading her corpse in the prison using machines to make her decaying brain send out a distress call
That is
to other Jedi.
That's such a dark moment, and I loved it.
I did not know that was a thing, and I'm just like, wow, that actually kind of makes the show not as childish as people say Rebels usually is.
Yeah. Well, with
I might actually have to go. I might have to go back and watch Rebels now.
Well, with that grim, dark fourth revelation, I'm Miles Shibuki.
This is Benji Fox.
And I am Fallen Angel. May the Force be with you.
Yep, and we'll see you all next time. Later.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.